Hey guys. So I was making a really long episode about what is evil for number 6 in spiritual understanding and the science of God. Now, okay, I'm gonna get down to what is evil. Evil is our egotistical, selfish thoughts. And what they do is that they go behind the 7 deadly sins, which is arrogance, pride, lust, jealousy, gluttony, greed, anger, and sloth. Now, let me look up real quick what are those 7 deadly sins and describe them to you. 7 deadly sins. Okay? What happens with the 7 deadly sins is that we commit them because we are so egotistical sometimes. The thing about these sins is that we do them because we're taught them by our past generations. And it comes from within us, not from the world really around us and what people do. It comes from basically family and stuff like that. And sometimes we don't realize that we're doing these sins, these evil things. It's like a mistake, and that's why some people say nothing's actually evil when we feel because we feel like it's just a part of who we are. Like, for example, we might be an angry person and we think, well, it's not really evil if you used to go and kill somebody because it's just a part of who we are. So it happens because of what we learn as a part of who we are, while we're being who we are through childhood. I believe that this evil can be passed on through genetic traits, like an evil spirit. Now, let me go into an example of a certain evil thing that happens in society and in a political scale. If you ever seen that movie, The Experiment, you will notice what happens in that movie is that prisoners they put prisoners into a prison with guards, and they make people choose sides. Some become guards, some become prisoners. The guards become abusive with authority to the prisoners, and the prisoners eventually have to revolt. And then finally, they let them go. So what happened to the guards is they became evil because their power was not kept in check. They became egotistical, selfish, and they wanted to have power, abuse their power. Some, and according to the actual real experiment, because it's a true story, some of those people, some of those guards were not evil. Some of them were good. So some people have the choice to choose not to be evil, but most of them were doing evil. Now, this was what happens when power goes unchecked. Now, with the government and people, this happens. The government gave a lot of white people, no offense, not all white people, power to be over the minorities. So they assort this, they use that strength against minorities and against the world in a term what people call white power and arrogance. They use this ideology. And I want to get into ideology later, but that's going to be part 2 or part 3, because there's going to be ideology and getting more into the ego. I'm talking about specifically what is evil now. So, now, with these powers kept unchecked, what happens is that they abuse their authority. People don't notice that what they're doing is wrong. And eventually, the good prisoners, the people who are weak might have to revolt. Now, this is what happened with, police brutality and stuff like that. People are given power. Now, I believe that the government, sometimes, not all of it, but sometimes, in order to control us, they use the extent of divide and conquer. Now, as I said before, I believe that these forces of evil that transpire through us and through our ego, some people in society have, and even through ancient times, passed this ideology along the way, which is the egotistical goal. The egotistical goal is a selfish means. It has greed, it has envy, jealousy, hate, and all of these sinful things, qualities to it. And it wishes to be in power. And in order to be in power, what it did was that it said, well, in order to be in power, we need to divide and conquer the people. And how else will we do that but create class warfare? And so we're going to create one class higher than the other so that they keep fighting. And then this way we control them because they will never stand together. And this is what happens with humankind. This is what is evil. So in the Bible it says that the devil is the ruler of the earth. And so a mastermind, a true mastermind, true artist of war, because the art of war is deception, will, in order to conquer the world and maintain control, look for any way to articulate war or bring people against each other to control the people, bring man against man. And so this is what the devil does. And this is what, if the devil is just a spiritual being, this is what he does through people. He works through people in this way. So, now, what happens is that some people are still in power. For example, we have this issue with the Federal Reserve, very, very rich people on the earth. We have the Illuminati and stuff like that. These places where supposedly the devil might be working, and they're not kept in check and balances. There's checks and balances for our government, our judicial branches, yes, but not when it comes down to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve, for example, is money. Now, money is the root of all evil, as they say, and this is true because it allows greed. People kill for money. People do a lot of bad things for money. And so what the devil does, he is the manipulator. He has the power to produce the money as he wants. Whoever controls the money controls the people. So he has the power to manifest as much as money as he wants. And these are the hierarchies of the world. I believe that these hierarchies of the world are controlled by Satan. They have the power to manipulate money and do what the devil wants them to do. Now, the thing is, you might be wondering, well, why didn't the devil cut me off yet or kill me and cut off all these Illuminati people and whatever and stuff like that? Because when they make videos, when they make Christianity videos, well, there's two reasons. One is because we have the power of God protecting us. And two is because the end game is not to cut you off and kill you, but to buy you out as an individual. What they do is how they buy you out is through hatred, conquering, and all these other things. There's 4 different ways that I believe that the devil tries to control us, which is deception, delusion, tricking you. That's all falls under deception. There's fear, making you afraid to do certain things. You might be intimidated to stand up and go and speak, or there's that way. Fear, which is goes along with terrorism and stuff like that. But God says, do not fear anything but God. So you don't have to fear anything. Lower it, lower it, lower it.
Sorry.
Then there's delusion. I think I said delusion. Delusion falls under deception, but I looked at it as separate because it's to trick people with media and distract people. Delusion is to trick people by showing them worldly things, fleshy things, money things, things they like, whatever, and to keep them distracted with that. That's the delusion thing. So there's that. Oh, fuck, I fucked up. Divide and conquer. So there is deception, divide and conquer, fear, and the last one is control. So with deception, there's all of the delusion stuff, all of the worldly stuff, all of that, tricking people into different religions, different ideas, which I'm going to talk about later, is the deception. Then there's dividing and conquering. Getting people to go against each other, getting people to fall under those different ideas, fighting each other so that they're controlled. Third, it's not control, right? Fear. Doing terrorism, controlling people through fear, making them decide certain things because they're afraid. They're afraid of terrorism, they're afraid of Muslims, they're afraid of black people ruling, they're afraid of white people, etc., etc. Okay? Then you have control. If none of these other things don't work, if you are not deceived by the devil, if you love everybody, because you're supposed to love thy enemy as you love thy neighbor, so you are not going to be divided and conquer when you can be love and unity with everyone, right? You can do that. Fear, you don't fear anything but God. You can stand tall and strong, and you have the power to fight the evil forces in high places. Okay? Once you do that, the last step is control. Now, control is what they do to Malcolm X, Abraham Lincoln, and a bunch of other people, which they say together the Illuminati killed. Let me see. Who was I going to say? Abraham Lincoln, Jesus, for example. Jesus is a powerful man because it's all equal. There is no class. Share with the poor, love one another, even your enemy. It's kind of passive. It's too open and giving, and it's spilling out a knowledge that is graceful and it's for everyone. Not everyone can have knowledge. Some may say knowledge is a sacred thing. If you teach everyone the same thing, who's going to work in McDonald's? Who's going to do this and that and the other, right? So this kind of collapses a controlled government or a system that we have pumped. Okay? Now, this is how evil works, basically. It works through us. It works through our egos and our self-centered wants, our desires for money and power and fame. And we want to have that power, so this is why we sacrifice individuals and shit on people in order to get to the top. And that's part of what our ego does. And we're not all bad for that. We mistakenly do that. We learn that from our family members. If you're a rich person, you learn that from your rich family to be greedy. If you're a lustful person, sexual, Latino, whatever kind of person, you learn that from your family and your race and whatever. You just pick that up. We pick up these worldly traits. You have sloth. You may be a lazy Puerto Rican or something. You may have anger issues, and you learned it from your father. You might be jealous of people. You learned it from that it's okay in your race to hate one another. You might have a lot of arrogance and pride, and it covers everything. Those are all different ways of evil. It causes condescendence and stuff like that. And it just all goes out like that. But let me make this clear: what God says, what Jesus says. Nothing around you can defile you that comes from around you, because whatever comes around you, you take it and you shit it out. Only the stuff that comes from your heart defiles you. You spill it. That's what you put out there. Those are the negative things. So nothing that comes around you can go into your heart. It's who you are, what you do, and what you are about. That those demons that you have locked up inside you that are evil. Those are the real things you want to attack. And not only that, but you also want to conquer the demons that are out there in the world. But you are attached to those demons, because those demons, the biggest demon is your own ego. and somehow the demons that are out there are attached to you in some way. So it's a double standard. It's a double issue where you have to conquer it yourself, part of yourself, and that. Now I'm gonna go into part 2 of 6 with the ego. Okay. Peace and thank you for watching.